Hello my lovelies, Miss Shadow Lovely here. I know what you're thinking. That looks like a wig. Well, that's because it is. And I'd love to say that it's for a fun reason, like because the topic is conventions, but really the actual reason is that I'm lazy. Many years ago, starting when I was a teenager, before I ever even thought of having a YouTube channel, I used to go to conventions as a cosplayer. And now, after years of attending conventions as both a cosplayer and now also an industry guest, I want to share 5 of my convention do's and 5 of my convention don'ts. If you guys have any convention tips that I missed here in this video that you want to share with others, please leave them in the comment section below to share your wealth of knowledge with other people. Before we get started, make sure you're following me on my Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. That way you can keep up with my shenanigans and we can stay in touch. 5. Don't forget basic hygiene essentials. This includes toothpaste, deodorant, body spray if you must, hairbrush, you know, the whole shebang. Just because you're going out of town to have fun with friends does not mean that they want to smell you. So make sure that you remember to pack all these things. I can't tell you how many times I've gotten to a convention only to realize that I've forgotten like a toothbrush or something, or toothpaste. The good news is most hotels you're staying at do have those things available for free at the concierge counter or the check-in desk, whatever you want to call it. Do pack travel size hygiene items. This includes like dry shampoo. Like dry shampoo is a lifesaver at conventions, especially if you're like a female cosplayer. Like dry shampoo will keep you fresh for the 24 to 72 hours that you're gonna be at that convention. They even have like these little travel size, they call them like body wipes or something like that. They're like waterless shower wipes. And trust me, that's better than nothing. Like I can tell you many a story from when I was just a cosplayer, not like an industry guest. And something happened to the bathtub, always. There would always be something that would happen to the bathtub in our hotel room. And do not take that as like, haha, that's the thing that always happens. Like, no, like we were dumb. Like one time we set up a crock pot in the bathtub. It's not good, don't do that. But yeah, like something always happens to the bathtub and then you can't shower and something happens. So like worst case scenario, these shower wipes, they're better than nothing. And these travel size things that you can buy, they're cheap, they're like $1 per, you don't have to buy a whole new thing to take to a convention. You can just use it over the weekend. You will feel better and the people around you will appreciate it, trust me. 4. Don't stand in the middle of crowded walkways. This includes the dealer's room, artist alley, on the way to the convention, in the line to pick up your badge. Don't stand and don't come to a full stop in crowded walkways. I can't tell you how frustrating it is now, even more so as like an industry guest, when I'm trying to make it to like a panel or something, or anything, like trying to make it to the bathroom, like anything, and I am walking and then in this crowded artist alley, like walkway full of people, and then the person in front of me just comes to a dead stop in the middle of the walkway. Like that's the worst. Like don't do that. If you want to take a picture of someone, find a clear area or step aside. Don't block the walkway if you want to take a picture of a cosplayer. Most cosplayers already know and understand that if you want to take a picture, it's not polite to stop in the middle of the walkway. So they'll try to make their way over to like a little bit of a clearer area. Like when people ask me for photos, back when it was with cosplayer, now when it's an industry guest thing, I always try to make my way to an area where people aren't trying to walk, especially not in front of like artist alley booths. Like artist alley and dealer's room, especially artist alley, like it's so rude to like block a booth when people are trying to serve customers. So do try to find your way over to a more, an area with less traffic so that you guys can take your pictures and sign things, do whatever you need to. 3, don't walk around for hours and hours without any food or water. Conventions are usually really, really good about making sure that there's water fountains or water dispensers like all over the place so that you don't get dehydrated. I know that you can get really wrapped up in like the fun of a convention, so it's really easy to like lose track. But do try to make sure that you always have food readily available, whether it's like, you know, a little snack or you do stay hydrated. What me and my friends would do when I was a cosplayer is we would go down as a group in our group costume, we'd walk around for a couple hours, then we'd go back up to the room for like an hour, and we would drink our water and relax and kind of make sure everyone was hydrated and good, and that's a very important part. Conventions are fun, they're not worth dying for. Do make sure when you pack for the convention, if you're going with like a group, a good thing to add to the group fund or to contribute to your group is like a case of water. That was usually my thing that I would bring, is I would bring a case of water. I was the con mom. I'd bring a case of water, I'd bring a bunch of snacks like granola bars, little trail mix packets, things that are really easy to carry around, and are really easy to eat and aren't perishable. Those big cases, little bags of chips, like something is better than nothing. But having these little things, and then usually we'd have like one person walking around with us who would be able to just like have those things on hand. If someone was looking like they might pass out or something, here's a granola bar. And then, like I said, bottles of water were always readily available in our room, because I know in hotel rooms it can be kind of hard to get water, because usually you get like 2 glasses and then you have to drink out of the tap or buy that like $6 bottled water that's on your like stand. Don't do that. But yeah, case of water is a essential, in my opinion, when you're going to a convention, whether you're going as a guest or a cosplayer. 2, don't touch other people's costumes or props without asking. As a general rule of thumb, they're probably gonna say no. So the rule should pretty much be don't touch other people's costumes or props, period. Like, I do understand, like sometimes I would have really cool props, like I had a giant sword for Battle Bunny Ribbon, and people would always want to touch it to see what it was made out of. It was usually other like costumers who wanted to touch it to see what it was made out of, and they would always ask, because that's fine. But I do also have horror stories of like the very first prop I ever built for my very first cosplay I ever did, which was Yuki Cross from Vampire Night, and I made her giant scythe. Me and my dad built her giant scythe, her giant wooden scythe, so I was walking around with like a 7-foot tall giant wooden scythe. And another Yuki Cross cosplayer saw me from across the room. She was significantly bigger than me, and came charging at me and just grabbed my scythe. Had this thing, because it was huge, so it was hard to transport, so it had a screw in the middle, so I could screw the 2 pieces together and then carry them separately if I needed to. And I would hold it on that seam for stability, because it's still a giant scythe, so it was still kind of wobbly. And she came up and she snatched my scythe from the middle, and it just about broke in half. And I had to like grab it and hold it together, like, oh, hi, great to see you, person I don't know. Yeah, that was awful. Don't be that person. And with costumes, you never know how fragile stuff is, so like, don't touch it. Just like you wouldn't want to be just like touched on the street. Just don't touch people's costumes. Do, when interacting with cosplayers, wait until they're done eating or sitting down or resting. This even applies to like industry guests too, because I experienced it as a cosplayer and I experienced it as a guest too. We do want you to take pictures with us, and other people do want you to take pictures with them, I promise. As a cosplayer, like that's like number 1. That's a good validation that you did a good job on your costume, is people want to take pictures. And it's not that people hate that. Don't take pictures of cosplayers while they're eating. Same with guests. Not because like, oh, don't bother them like they're above you or anything. Like, it's seriously just, they don't want pictures of them probably eating floating around. They'll be more than happy to, if you ask them. I mean, and like, if you can, just wait for them to finish eating. Like, that's the most polite thing to do. But if you can't, just ask them, hey, can I get a picture? And 9 out of 10 times, they'll either be like, hey, when I'm done eating, like I'm really tired, I'm taking a break, or they'll stand up and take a picture. Just don't take a picture of them while they're eating. That's just weird, first of all. You don't get a good picture. And 2, like, they worked really hard on that costume, and you're gonna take a picture of them eating. Like, it doesn't do them justice. And number 1, don't. And I really mean don't. Be disrespectful of the venue, the convention staff, or the hotel that you're staying in. Yes, I understand sometimes convention staff can be, you know, a little bit harsh, or the volunteers take their job a little too seriously. Trust me, I deal with that 100% more now as a guest than I did as a cosplayer. And even as a cosplayer, I did sometimes have trouble with the staff, because they do tend to take themselves a little bit too seriously. But you have to understand, these are people who are taking time out of their day and out of their convention to try and make sure everybody has a good time. Yes, there are gonna be some bad eggs that like just want a power trip, but if you run into one of those, report them to another con staff member. Usually that's not tolerated by the convention. But when it comes to like the hotel venue, or when it comes to like the hotel or like the venue that the convention's being held at, I have yet to be at a convention where some group of kids, and I have to assume it's kids, will pull the fire alarm or break something in the hotel, and then there's just horror stories from convention managers of just the devastation that convention attendees leave on these hotel rooms. And I get it, you're paying for a hotel room, even though they may even keep your deposit, but it's not even about that. It's that the convention itself will get a bad rap, and if you enjoyed that convention, you're just making it less likely that the convention will ever be able to be held there again. And conventions struggle sometimes to find venues that can tolerate the capacity of people, especially if it's a growing convention. So you're shooting yourself in the foot by being disrespectful to the hotel and to, you know, the convention venue, because you're just making it harder for that convention to be able to be held again. So if you're having a good time at the convention, you want that to happen again. So try to, you know, do your best to leave things the best that you can. Like, there's always like people like writing on the mirrors in the hotel room. Like, why? The hotel staff doesn't think that's funny. Like, you may think it's funny for like 2 seconds, but then you're gonna forget about it as soon as you get in the car and leave. Like, unless you're just a huge tool bag, then don't do that. And even if you are a tool bag, you still shouldn't do it, but I'm not proud of you for doing it. And other convention attendees also usually don't appreciate you being a tool bag to the convention staff and the venue and the hotel. Just so you know, everyone hates those people who pull the fire alarms in the middle of the night. Everybody hates those people. Do remember that everybody is there to have a good time. Not everyone is there to cosplay. Not everyone is there to take pictures of cosplayers. Not everyone is there to see panels. Not everyone is there to shop in Artist Alley or Dealer's Room. Make sure that you're having fun for the reasons that you enjoy having fun at the convention. Make sure that you are fostering a respectful attitude towards your other convention attendees. One of the things that I used to love about going to conventions as a teenager is when you walk through the doors of a convention, you feel like family with people that you've never met before, because you're all there for a similar reason. Whether it is to go to Artist Alley or it is to cosplay, you're all there because you share a love of something around the general central theme. In this case, usually being like anime or gaming. And that was one of the coolest experiences, is I would go into a convention and by the time I would leave, I would have 100 new friends. And they're friends, some of those are people that even now 10 years later, I still talk to and I'm still friends with, I still keep in contact with. Like, you have the opportunity to just interact with all these people with similar interests, and it's the one place where you don't have to worry about whether or not you fit in, because everybody doesn't fit in and that makes them fit in. So do make sure that you have a good time and don't try to force your idea of a good time on other people. Just let it happen. If you're not having fun with a group of people, find a new group of people. If you're not having fun with groups of people at all, there's tons of stuff you can do by yourself. I'm not recommending this because this was really stupid of me to do, but as a teenager, I used to go to conventions by myself sometimes. I wouldn't even rent a hotel room. I would travel across the state, get to a convention and be like, somebody probably has a room, and then I would buy a badge, and then I would find some of my friends at the convention until I found one that had a free space in their room, give them money, and stay in their room. And then I would just go off and have fun on my own. Like, don't do that. It's a stupid thing to do as a teenage girl. Like, don't do that. That was dumb of me. But I would do that sometimes because I can have fun on my own too. And it was just as much fun as when I went with friends. And usually I would still leave with a bunch of friends when I went by myself. So just remember that you're there to have fun. Everyone's there to have fun. That's what a convention is. And usually if you're not having a good time, sometimes it can be blamed on other people doing crappy stuff, but most of the time there is a way that you can make the convention fun for yourself again. Also, never be afraid to reach out to staff or security if you're feeling unsafe, or if you see something unsafe. Don't be afraid to walk people to their cars. That's another big thing, is I frequently have walked people to their cars because, like, I'll see like them being harassed by another group of people, or like female cosplayers like being followed by like a group of drunk dudes. Like, don't be afraid to stick up for strangers, or, you know, participate in fun things that strangers are doing. Conventions have a different, you know, they're a different atmosphere than if you were just in public. So keep an eye out for your fellow attendees, because most of the time they'll probably do the same for you. But like I said, overall, just remember that it's a fun thing and people are there to have fun. So try to keep that attitude up, and remember that there's almost always something else you can do if you're not having fun doing the thing that you're doing. Like I said in the beginning of the video, if I forgot to mention anything or if you have any advice that you found has worked really well for you at conventions over the years, please leave them in the comment section below. I'd love to hear your input. Like I said, I still attend conventions to this day. This time as an industry guest instead of a cosplayer, so it is a little bit different atmosphere. But I do still love conventions and I love interacting with people there. So I still love to hear you guys' feedback. And as I've mentioned before, if you enjoy what you see, remember to like, comment, and subscribe, and I will continue to make these dumb 10 to 15 minute videos of me talking. Alright, that's all I got for you guys today. Hope you guys have some fun conventions lined up for 2018, and I hope I see you at the ones that I go to. With that being said, I don't have anything else for you, so have a lovely day.